Hi, this is Wanik, the first author of the paper, Giving Space to Your Message. This is the work done with Sungjun, Uhyun, Jiwon, and Namsu. We first tell what motivated our study, how the system is formulated to tackle the problem, and the quantitative and qualitative analysis to show that our approach is appropriate for this issue. Our motivation is that in electronic typing, word segmentation can be tiresome and require effort for some people. For instance, in Korean, especially in mobile typing, the morphological characteristic of Korean writing system makes the typing system far from Latin alphabet-based QWERTY. That is, some consonants and vowels should be combined to make up a single character block. In this process, making a segmentation between the words is sometimes not familiar for the digital minorities, including some seniors. The bottom is how usual mobile keyboard looks like in Korean, where non-trivial stroke of space key is required in between making up the character blocks. This sometimes results in non-spaced text, as in the right figure. The figure introduces a sample post of Mang Lepak, who's on the right side, a famous elderly Instagram star of Korea. Even though she is now familiar with the online culture, it is observed that the typing includes no segmentation, which might have been difficult. We want to point out that even though we can read the text, there may be some desire for the senior user to be more familiar to typing and segmentation process. Thus, we thought how we can automatically give spacing to such texts for both a real-time chat and post-upload. It should not be mandatory and should be provided as an option to prevent inadvertently ignoring the original intent. It should also be useful for those who are not familiar with electronic typing. There has been several approaches on the automatic segmentation, but some of them look the issue as grammatical correction or predict the spacing based on history of the characters, not taking into account the information beyond. There are some currently available correction toolkits. However, most of them correct the input text instead of giving only the spacing information. Also, as in the case of the capture bottom, sometimes it inspects if the input is in standard form, which usually denotes Seoul Korean. This might leave some users behind if the words are not in its standard form. In this text, as the figure, no action is taken usually, and sometimes the correction may invasively modify the original intention of the author. We assume that the segmentation can be provided to who are not familiar with electronic typing with a data-driven approach. First, by using a conversational style and non-normalized utterances in the training phase, which covers the expressions and errors that are probable for the elderly and digital minorities, we aim not to correct, but to support the segmentation. Second, by training a lightweighted data-driven toolkit from scratch, we allow the real-time service that can be useful in the real world. Third, we suggest a web interface for the user-generated text, which is in the format that can be applied to various other web-based services, at the same time guaranteeing the user's will to adopt our recommendation on segmentation. Before we introduce the system concept, we want to talk about the writing system of the Korean language. In Hangul, which corresponds to the Latin alphabet in English, a morphosyllabic block consists of at most two consonants and a vowel, as 반갑다, which means hello in Korean. Here, 반, 갑, and 다 are all the blocks, and segmentation can take place after each block. Here, no spacing is an ideal case, although various types of decomposition is available, such as morpheme level or sub-character level. We adopt character level decomposition since it most fits with our approach toward the spacing. Note that each is a character, but its units are in slightly more complex level compared to the Latin characters. As a corpus, we collected a conversation style and non-normalized utterances. It is a manual collection of freely available grammar scripts, which are scraped from all over the web. We took various pre-processing, such as removing directions, fixing only critical errata, and checking spacings with a generous borderline. For the last, given that the segmentation rule is heuristic and indecisive in Korean, we corrected only the scripts that the meaning can be misrepresented because of the errors. We finally obtained the corpus of 2 million lines that fits with the erroneous and non-normalized, non-standard texts. Though the corpus cannot be distributed due to the copyright, we deem that using it in the inference-based AI system does not have a potential harm to reproduce the content. Second, we utilize CNN BioList TM to make up a data-driven and error-robust automatic segmentation toolkit. Here, fast text character vectors are used to train to open our corpus. It bases on skipgram and is suitable for the possibly erroneous input due to the characteristics of the corpus. The architecture is parallel rather than hierarchical, since we saw CNN conveys distributed information and BioSTEM conveys sequential information, so that using both may provide us an enhanced representation beyond simply using history information. Also, we did not use pre-trained transformer-based models such as BERT, since the property of it may deter the characteristics of our corpus. Next, we have a quantitative analysis for our system. Primarily, we check the subjective score. We ask the participant to evaluate them in the order of naturalness. Below is the sample sentence with input meaning Google stop, very kind and cool, my friend Makala, where there are 2 typos. Each output is provided, and the participant rank them from 1 to 3. There can be a tie score. With output, we first get the sample-wise system ranking with given sample and output. Then we calculate the system performance over the participant for each sample. Finally, we aggregated it across the samples to get the final performance of each system. The score is designed to result in 1.0 if everyone gives first place to the system output and 1 over m for the opposite case. For the objective evaluation, Suinso conducted the experiment with an in-house collected dialogue data that does not overlap with our training corpus. The given segmentation is assumed as a ground truth. 2 datasets are constructed, namely easy with 50% of the segmentations randomly removed, and hard with all the segmentation removed. We measured the accuracy by K-level F1 score. The results show that our system achieves naturalness towards the existing systems, and also, despite the objective score is lower, displays the robustness for challenging case, in case here hard ones, and other segmentation requiring scenarios. As a comparative study, we claim that our approach differs from the correction that may modify the user's intention inadvertently. For instance, with the conventional checker, the input is sometimes modified, failing to convey the original expression of the author. This is inconsistent with that our approach is not invasive. In the picture of the bottom, the output of neighbor is one that grammatically correct, but is difficult to read or speak. Instead, ours does not guarantee the grammatical correctness, but reflects the indecisiveness of Korean spacing, and in some ways, it fits with the human speaking and is expected to be applied well to TTS system furthermore. We also suggest a web interface for user-generated text, where the users can choose if the segmentation is applied or not to their text. If they want the system to immediately segment the message, it may be uploaded directly as an output of the segmentation system. The user feedback can be saved to the server and be used for further update. Also, the user can turn off the system if they do not want automatic segmentation. We hope this kind of system be applied to widely used social media or chat platforms to cover the mentioned need. In this regard, we distribute the current checkpoint to the research community and is planning an update with up-to-date architectures so that the users can easily access the system as an API. This is conclusion. We suggest data-driven automatic segmentation toolkit for Korean, trained based on the corpus with conversation style and non-normalized utterances. The system utilizes dense character vectors from fast text and parallel placement of CNN and BioSTM for a lightweighted utilization. Last, we suggest a web-based service for various applications. Our demonstration is available on the online repository. Thank you for listening.